has been red hot. 14 for 27 during this hit streak. And this is a pitcher LSU's very familiar with, Sam Landry, the transfer from Louisiana, who faced off against LSU in the regional round 2 years ago when the Ragin' Cajuns upset the Tigers. Her postseason debut with Oklahoma. It begins with ball one at 11:02 a.m. on this absolutely stunning, gorgeous May the 8th morning. Danica Coffey to face Landry. And take a drop ball for a strike at 72. Robbie Guest has the plate today. Brian Crochet's at first. Chelsea Clark over at third. LSU 41-13, 12-12 in the league. Oklahoma 43-7. The Sooners went 17-7 in the league. And this is their first meeting of the season and their first postseason meeting since the Women's College World Series semifinals in 2016. We saw LSU shut out Mississippi State 5-0 yesterday. Beth Torina's Tigers had 9 hits and a couple of walks. They had a 4-run second inning against Raylan Chafin, the former Tiger, one of the best pitchers in the league. Another one of the best in the league is Landry right here. And she begins the game getting a slow ground out to third for Nellie McEnroe-Marinas.
Sam Landry is just so long in the circle. She throws with good velocity, has really long arms and long legs, and the ball gets on you in a hurry. So you're worried about her speed, but then she can bring her changeup and work both north and south in the zone, side to side, both sides of the plate. The way that, to me, she has elevated her game in her senior year, transferring over to Oklahoma and working with Jen Rocha has been really special to watch. She was really great at Louisiana the first 3 years, but the level of competition that she has played in the SEC this year and kept her consistent ERA, her consistent stats and numbers has been impressive despite the better competition.
Facing Jayla Lassiter, LSU's center fielder. Lassiter in her first year with the Tigers after 2 seasons in the league with Ole Miss. She had 2 hits yesterday, including an infield single that brought in 2 runs. 1-1 from Landry. He is a little low. That's going to be the crucial area in the strike zone for Sam Landry and her catcher Isabella Emmerling, also a transfer. She came from North Carolina. A lot of new faces for Patty Gasso this year.
And there's that changeup. She told me a couple of weeks ago that that changeup is her favorite pitch. She's able to rebound even quicker whenever that pitch gets hit because she has so much belief in that pitch that she just chalks it up as like, oh, well, moving on. She loves that changeup so much.
Throws it again. Lassiter didn't bite. 3-2 for the Tiger Jr. It's brought some speed, some swagger, and some confidence to LSU. Jayla Lassiter trying to bring them the game's first base runner. And she won't. Landry triples up.
There's that favorite pitch. It is her changeup. She throws it right at the bottom of the zone. Perfect location. Lassiter way out in front of that pitch. She's going to throw her drop ball more this season than ever before in her career. It's her most used pitch at Oklahoma this year. Alongside that changeup, she'll work in her screwball and her rise ball, which is her best chase pitch out of the zone. And when you look at her numbers from the first 3 years at Louisiana to Oklahoma in terms of pitch usage, she's really transformed into a pitcher that relies more on changing speeds and goes more vertical up and down with her rise ball and drop ball instead of more east to west with her curve and screw. And there's her screw. I mean, as a right-handed hitter, when you see 72 miles an hour right at your knees, right at the bottom of the zone, that's a hard pitch to get your barrel to. She gets a really good angle and cuts that pitch inside, a pitch that she has felt more comfortable throwing this year working with Jen Rocha.
She's behind Macy Badger on 3-0. And here comes Emmerling. with LSU's biggest hitter, Tori Edwards, on deck. Edwards has moved down to the cleanup spot, so obviously it's incumbent upon these LSU top 3 hitters for Beth Torina to give Edwards a first inning chance. Yesterday, LSU went down 1-2-3 in the first, and then Edwards was hit by a pitch to begin a 4-run second. A 3-0 strike is in there after the meeting in the circle.
Goes to that screwball whenever she needs a strike. Seems like she'll go to her screwball or her changeup whenever she needs a pitch to get back into the count.
Here's a 3-1. Grounded to third. That will twist foul. It's 3-2. Oklahoma had the 3rd best pitching staff in SEC games this year, 3.65 ERA. The 5th best offense and the best record, a half game ahead of Texas A&M at 17-7. Landry, their ace, with a 3-2. It's low, but it's a swing by Bergeron. She's punched out, and Landry punches out 2 in a row in a perfect first.
And that's a big call to go Landry's way with Tori Edwards on deck. Now you don't have to face her with the runner on. You can face her with fresh bases. Landry gets 2 strikeouts in the first.
CC this year with 95, 42 of them in league play, and Ella Parker has been red hot fighting through some pain. She's homered in 4 of the last 5 and bats second for a young Oklahoma lineup. Their reward for all those home runs in a great season is a 2-time All-American in Sydney Berzon.
Now they're going to see a lot of down stuff with Sydney Berzon, the junior, the ace on the staff for LSU, pitching against them today. A lot of big games that Berzon has pitched in. This will be a big test for her today to go up against these disciplined OU hitters.
First time Berzon has faced Oklahoma, a Sooner team that has lost 2 straight coming in. Dropped 2 of 3 against Florida over the weekend. And Berzon's first pitch is up off the glove of her catcher, Macy Bergeron, to the sophomore Cassidy Pickering. Likely All-American here. Pickering with an on-base percentage of .565 leads the team, slugging .843. And she has been death to drop balls this year as well, so it could be a very good matchup for the sophomore from Humble, Texas. Berzon's 2-0 is up and in. Cassidy Pickering this year 20 out of 40 against drop balls with 6 home runs. There's the slugging percentage, 1,100 on what is Sydney Berzon's signature pitch.
And when you look at what Oklahoma is better at hitting as a team, it's definitely the drop ball compared to the rise ball, which is pretty normal to see, but about 100-point drop off between the drop ball and the rise ball for their team average.
Ball outside.
Up and away for ball 4. Berzon puts on Pickering.
And what Berzon is going to want these hitters to do is chase her drop ball out of the zone, like what Florida did a couple weekends ago. She was locating that drop ball on both sides of the plate, being able to throw it for a strike and out of the zone. Her location and command of her drop ball in that series was so much better than it was last weekend against Arkansas, but it's that drop ball that she will go to over 60% of the time.
Fouled away by the big swinging Ella Parker in the designated player spot.
Whoops.
She lose the glove there, or lost the
bat?
The bat.
Yeah.
And the padding that's the wrist guard too. It all went flying off. You know, they have a great javelin thrower, Gabby Garcia. 2 batters later in the lineup. Maybe Ella's just learned some tricks from her. Pretty amazing to watch Ella Parker last weekend against Florida. Go back to her last 5 games. She's 12 for 20 with a double and 4 home runs and playing through some real pain. She's been dealing with a lower leg injury for much of this season. And you can see it was really bothering her the first half of SEC play. Patty Gasso said it's not like she's in less pain. She's just figured out how to hit through it.
Just learned how to handle it a little bit more. It's one of those things that I think you just get more used to the pain instead of maybe it seeming so abrupt at first when it's first happening and you're just trying to work around it. Now she's just barreling through it with her aggressiveness at the plate and the way that she's using her lower half better and more.
Well, 10 pitches, 8 balls. A very difficult start for Sydney Berzon. She has walked the first 2 Sooners.
She had a really tough weekend last weekend against Arkansas, and again the weekend before that against Florida. She looked fantastic whenever LSU came back to win that series. They lost game 1, they got run ruled and then won a close one and then run ruled Florida, and Sydney Berzon shutting down the Florida offense was a big part of that. But last weekend was different.
A bunt laid down by Nellie McEnroe-Marinas, and a fine play by Danica Coffey retires her at first. The 3rd sacrifice bunt of the year by McEnroe-Marinas. There's one thing that tells you it's a different Oklahoma team. Didn't see a lot of bunts out of the 3 spot from OU during the 4th beat. But an effective play puts runners at 2nd and 3rd. Patty Gasso is very happy about it.
Ball
1 low to the freshman Gabby Garcia. Garcia having a tremendous freshman year. 15 home runs, 47 RBIs, both lead the team. Coming out of Chandler, Arizona. One of many members of the Orange County Batbusters, a travel team that's like a pipeline to OU.
And Sydney Berzon is going to have to be careful with trying to find the command of her drop ball. That last one was left more up in the zone. You saw the patience of Gabby Garcia just looking like she just full-blown took that pitch until she got a strike. A little bit more aggressive with that take. You can see as the barrel starts to move forward, the take before that just looked like a dead red take on a pitch that was more up in the zone. A lot of patience that they're going to show to Berzon until she can prove that she can command the strike zone.
Garcia swings away on 3-1. Off the netting and the count runs full.
I'll tell you what, Kevin, I watched Oklahoma lose the series in Tuscaloosa to Alabama, and they looked a little bit more timid, unsure in their swings. And then it was the weekend after that I was watching them play in the past few weeks where their swings have been so much more aggressive and strong.
Well, they're patient at the right time here. They've walked 3 times in the inning. The only out was donated by McEnroe-Marinas. And Beth Torina is going to hang out in that LSU dugout with the bases packed and 1 out for Sid Sanders. The only senior in the starting 9 takes ball 1. Sanders, one of the most patient and powerful hitters in the nation, has the world at her disposal here. And she takes strike 1.
And that's an off-speed curveball that Sydney Berzon threw very well in that Florida series, too. Whenever she looked so strong in the circle, she did not just rely on her drop ball on both sides of the plate, but she also spun an off-speed curveball. A lot of these Oklahoma hitters are getting the very back of the box to combat that drop ball and make her bring it up.
Sanders is hit by the pitch, and Oklahoma scores a run with 4 base runners, all via free passes. 1-0 Sooners in a wild first inning for Berzon.
She's trying to get this drop ball in the inside corner, ends up riding too far in, and just Sydney Sanders just wears it. Doesn't move at all, and you don't have to if the ball is fully in the batter's box. She knows that that's going to be an RBI in the first run of the game for OU.
Ilana Agbayani takes a strike. Wonder how long Beth Torina will go with Sydney Berzon. They've had Tatum Clopton, the transfer from Oklahoma State, up all inning. 0-1 for the second baseman, Agbayani. A weak ground ball. Berzon goes home for the out. A 1-2 fielder's choice for out number 2.
And Agbayani has some speed to get down the line. I think that Sydney Berzon just wanted to make sure, instead of rushing herself for a potential double play, that she for sure got that out at home. But that's an off-speed curveball that Berzon can throw for a strike. Got Agbayani to hit it off the end of her bat for weak contact.
Freshman Sydney Barker takes a sharp strike 1. Barker's only making her 20th start of the year. 9 of her 16 hits, 4 extra bases, including a grand slam back in mid-February against Baylor. Berzon is 1 strike, 1 pitch away from limiting the damage. It won't come here. Three freshmen in the starting lineup for Oklahoma. Barker, the third of 3. He'll take one just off the corner.
So much patience at the plate for Oklahoma. I mean, they know the strike zone so well.
Second best walk rate in the SEC of any team. Barker to third. Coffey's right at the bag. Oklahoma gets the first run on 3 walks and a hit batter.
So she's incredibly determined, Amanda. Let's see what she can do here against Landry.
Yeah, definitely an area that can be some growth for her. It's just to drive the ball the other way, but she is so strong that she can still pull a lot of those outside pitches and create hits, extra base hits, and even home runs.
Beth Torena said, I don't know if there's a freshman in the country who's being pitched like Tori Edwards. If there is, it's probably a short list. The 18 homers tied for the LSU single season record. And Isabella Emmerling heads over to the dugout. Something on her wrist. Got the blue tape that's become an Oklahoma staple back there. Target for the pitcher to throw. Tori Edwards, a redshirt freshman. She only played in 3 games last year. Was 1 for 6 with 3 walks. And she's gone from barely playing and redshirting to having the best slugging percentage in a season in LSU history.
I watched her hit in December. I was at the same facility that she was just taking swings off of a tee, and even off of a tee in a long cage, I mean, the ball just comes off of her bat differently. It sounds different, even when the ball is not moving toward her.
Way out in front of that, strike 2 from Landry. So 2 all-SEC players to be with a great matchup here. Landry has the upper hand and misses just above the dirt. We've seen back-to-back strikeouts on full count pitches. Change up and a drop ball. What do you think's coming here?
Go back to that changeup through the zone. Full count changeup, her favorite pitch. Drop ball on the outside corner and a great take.
Nerves a steal by the freshman to lay off that on 3-2, and she's got a leadoff walk.
Yeah, I think both of these teams are figuring out the strike zone early. We're seeing a lot of drop balls thrown between Landry and Berzon, and not a lot of low strikes called.
Remember, the 4-run second inning yesterday for LSU started when Edwards led off the inning by being hit by a pitch. So she gets a free pass of a different kind to set up Mackenzie Rudity. Someone who's been a little overshadowed by big stars in her time in Baton Rouge. Senior from Franklin, North Carolina, is a career .299 hitter, .404 on base, .489 slugging, just as steady as it comes. I bet Trina thinks this has been Rudity's best year of her career. Much better as a run producer. Said her swing decisions working with Bryce Neal have been excellent.
She gets overshadowed a lot, but just truly one of the more consistent players that you've seen start for the past few years at LSU. But of other names that she's always been plugged into the lineup with, especially that senior class that graduated last year. Now hit behind Tori Edwards.
Rudity pops a 3-1 to right field. Parker's there for the first out. Here's one of the stars down the stretch for LSU, Jaden Leno, with an opposite field single in that 4-run inning yesterday.
Ball outside.
Beth Torina told us Jaden should be the poster child for anybody on a roster who didn't get what they wanted last year. Said there was never a day where she didn't work or quit trying, even though she didn't have opportunities. And fought her way into a starting spot this year.
Yeah, and Jaden Leno is a really cool story that Beth Torina told us about that I thought was kind of funny and gives a little insight into how long they've had a relationship for. She talks with the hitting coach Bryce Neal there, but she was in 7th grade and committed to LSU the night before the early recruiting rule changed. And so Beth Torina said, I was talking to her on the phone, and she was working on dividing fractions and all this, more easy 7th grade type math is like what the conversations were about that she was having with Jaden Leno, because she was so young and committed to LSU. But then she couldn't talk to her again for 5 years, but she would go around the country watching her play travel ball, and she said she would always find the barrel, she would always get hits, and didn't talk to her for 5 years, and then finally got to talk to her again when she got old enough. It has grown a lot of respect for the way that she's tackled her freshman year and brought it into a lot of confidence this year after not playing last year.
Love that message to Bryce Neal. I don't know what you're going to get, but you're going to get hits. 2-1, Leno grounds it foul.
Well, I liked what she said. She always gets a hit. She always finds the barrel. No matter if it's a high school game, a PGF game, a Sandlot game, her barrel always gets to pitches.
She's the 6th LSU hitter today. They've all gotten to at least 5 pitches against Landry, who's 2-2. Was grounded toward the LSU dugout. Sam Landry has started either 2-0 or 2-1 on every hitter. 2 strikeouts, a walk, a ground out, and a fly out so far. Here's her 6th to Leno.
Well, and I thought it was interesting, Kevin, talking to Patty Gasso on the field before the game, and she said her and her coaching staff actually kind of went back and forth between whether to start Sam Landry or whether to start Kirsten Deal in this game. But after a tough weekend, losing 2 of 3 on the road in Gainesville against Florida, she felt like this is an important game to get her team back on track and wanted her ace of the circle.
And Leno's hanging in there against that ace. She'll see an 8th pitch at least. Another 2-2. Air strike 3. An ice cold changeup.
Right on the outside corner, she can throw that pitch on both sides of the plate, and she just sells it so well. Sam Landry told me she's always had a great changeup, and she's only thrown it one way with a flip change. She said, people have tried to get me to change it, her release and her grip, but nope, this is the one that she wants to stick to, her flip change, and there it is again on the other side of the plate.
Ball 1 on Sierra Daniel. Got a 10-game hit streak going. It's the longest of her career. Edwards, the runner at first. And that ball scoots away to the Oklahoma dugout. A wild pitch puts Edwards in scoring position.
That's a good thing, too, about having Tori Edwards out there. She's known for her power, but she also has some speed, too. So just because she's more of a power-type hitter and you see her in scoring position, she can easily score on something to the outfield.
It's a career-high 12 wild pitches for Landry, who's now behind 3-0 against Daniel. Sam Landry, 2.10 ERA this year, 143 and 2/3 innings, more than double any other pitcher on this staff in terms of innings thrown. And there's a walk, their second of the inning. So 2 Tigers are on now. Patty Gasso not thrilled about it. Maddox McKee will bat. Well, this weekend, Sam Landry walked 5 and 6 in her 2 starts against Florida. A season-high 6 just 5 days ago. Maddox McKee on the first pitch. That will get through to Agbayani at second. The first hitter in Athens, Georgia. And how close is this league? The difference between the 1 and the 9 seeds in some ways is negligible. Both teams averaging over 7 runs a game. LSU slightly better ERA. Oklahoma 17 and 7. LSU 12 and 12. But the Tigers actually 2 spots higher in the RPI. They're ranked 4th. Oklahoma checking in after yesterday's games at 6. Now RPI is not everything. Oklahoma, based on the body of work, probably in the mix for the #1 seed overall. LSU trying to fight for a top 8 seed, which would guarantee, with a regional win, home field advantage and the super regional round. Sooners have 8-9 and 1 against Sydney Brazan, who walked 3, hit a batter, escaped with only 1 run allowed in the first. Isabella Emmerling at the plate.
You know, going back to their offenses and just how evenly matched those numbers are, the one most glaring difference to me is just the amount of home runs that Oklahoma has hit compared to LSU. They score their runs in very different ways. OU has a tendency to leave the ballpark more. And then LSU is going to be more speedy, station to station, execution. Just two very different offenses.
Yep. SEC games, Oklahoma is only 8th in batting average, but they're first by a mile in slugging percentage. They've had 42 home runs. LSU, we showed you earlier, Tori Edwards has 18 of their total 42 home runs. That's the amount of home runs Oklahoma's hit just in conference play. Ground out to short here from Emmerling begins the home second.
Sydney Brazan has done a nice job of settling into this game after several free passes through the first 5 batters that she faced. Agbayani helped her out a little bit, rolling over up the end of her bat, an off-speed curveball that seemed like her swinging at that pitch and putting it into play really helped Brazan's confidence to continue to get outs moving forward.
Abby Dayton pokes the first pitch to Lassiter. There's a quick out for Brazan, who's retired 4 in a row. What do you think's been the difference in the last 4 batters?
I think her throwing that off-speed curveball more. She just got Abby Dayton out on it. It's a pitch that she got Agbayani out back in the first inning. Just a pitch that she's been able to locate more for a strike, and they're not looking for that speed at this point in the game.
There's Cassidy Pickering at the top of the card.
Ball.
Pickering had the first of those 3 walks, plus a hit batter in the first inning. 15 straight game in the leadoff spot.
It's a better drop ball too, and that's a pitch to start paying attention to the second time through the order. It's a pitch she struggled with to have command through the first time in the order against OU, but it's a must-have pitch for her to still be able to go deeper into this game.
Back-to-back strikes, and it's 1-2. Brzan coming off a weekend where she allowed 11 runs, only 4 earned, and 2 2/3 at Arkansas.
Ball.
And Bergeron couldn't pull that one in.
Well, Brzan thought she was about to pick up a rosin bag and head to the dugout, thinking that was going to be a called strike. She was fully expecting it to.
Two for the dangerous Pickering. Is grounded out of play. Sydney Brzan has been fighting through lots of bumps and bruises this year. Not feeling 100%. Battling through it in her 3rd year. And she just got a strikeout on a folly floater to retire Pickering.
This off-speed curveball, off-speed rise is moving. She is spinning it like crazy, getting a swing and miss out of the zone for one of the best hitters in the lineup.
Been 8 years, 7 World Series with a shortened season in 2020. No World Series. The resume strong. It typically is for Veterina's group. They play a top 10 strength of schedule basically every year. 13 wins against the RPI top 25.
Ball.
They've gone 18-12 in games against ranked teams this year. 40 games against NCAA tournament teams from a year ago. They've had some recent years where they have fumbled it a little bit down the stretch. But it was great from an LSU perspective, see them beat Florida after a run rule loss 2 weekends ago. They dropped 2-3 at Arkansas yesterday, but have some real confidence with the way they played all around in a 5-0 shutout of Mississippi State yesterday.
When Sydney Brzan is pitching the way that she's capable of, despite kind of fighting through a little bit of injury throughout this season, and Jaden Heavner is pitching the way that she's capable of, like we saw yesterday, this is a really good 1-2 punch that they're led with in the circle. And the improvement in their offense, scoring a bunch more runs, hitting for a higher average this year to support those pitchers in the circle and give them the run support that they need. Hitting above 300 this year. Last year they hit under 300. This year they're well above 300 as a team.
2-2 to the Oklahoma transfer, Avery Hodge, who takes up high. So how can this team break through in a way that others haven't? What could make this a World Series team?
Just being able to finish. And I think that that's been a high priority for them. I mean, last year that they were unfortunately faced with going on the road to face Nyjah Kennedy in Super Regionals.
A wicked pitch from Landry there. Gets the former Sooner swinging.
I actually think that was supposed to be a drop ball that she holds on to, and it just fooled Avery Hodge. Kind of a weird pitch. She held on to it, and it ended up going really high, a little bit wild, but she gets a strikeout nonetheless.
4 strikeouts, first time through the order for Landry, and now strike 1 to Danica Coffey. She's gone 0 for 5 here at the SEC tournament.
And when we talked to Bryce Neal, their hitting coach, he talked about how they're deprioritizing the swing a little bit more offensively, but a bigger emphasis on 3 pillars: high-level effort, high-level execution, and high-level toughness. And he said that we've put those things in place to uphold a standard to say, look, this is what you guys wanted to be as a group, and we're going to remind you of all of these things and hold you accountable, from hard 60s, how hard we run down to first base, to kind of measuring all these different things at practices and in games. But we're going to remind you that we've fallen short in the past of those things, and we want you to take ownership of those 3 pillars to be able to get back to the World Series and meet our goals.
Yeah, they're aware that they've had some frustrating finishes to the year after hot starts year in and year out. 1-0 for Jayla Lassiter. Last season, LSU was the last undefeated team in the country. started 24-0. They finished 44-17. They made it to the semis of the SEC tournament, but they only went 2-6 in SEC series. Lassiter to second base and swept up by Agbayani in a 1-2-3 for Sam Landry. Oklahoma roster. Tiare Jennings is still around the program right there as a grad assistant. She was part of that greatest senior class in softball history, winners of 4 national championships in a row. They've had to do things differently this year. Patty Gasso told us it is probably the first team she's had like this that's had to reload so much since all the way back in 2011. Again, Ella Parker a big part of this at the plate right now. Another way they've had to rebuild. It's a new team, a lot of new faces. They're in a brand new league as well. Big 12 or the big whatever it was before that for their whole history. Now they find themselves in the SEC with this new group. So things are a lot different for Oklahoma, including they're not playing in the state of Oklahoma. It's been 2,903 days since Oklahoma played a postseason game outside of their home state. You think about the Big 12 tournament was always at OKC, the World Series, OKC, and they always hosted a regional or super since they went to Auburn in 2017, where they swept the Tigers in the supers. That's 85 consecutive postseason games that were a very short drive for OU. It's frankly hard to believe. 85 postseason games in a row in your state. It's obviously the advantage when the Big 12 tourney and the World Series are there, but we're truly in hardly charted waters right now for Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's a mind-blowing stat, and they just made it all look so easy. I mean, it is such a big deal to grab a top 8 national seed when the bracket comes out. It's a huge deal, and that's what they've done every single year for the past 8 years. They've made everything look so easy, and it's been anything but easy for them. But it's how they approach the game, how they play under pressure, and again, how they play with the absolute biggest target on their back against everybody that they face.
Down to third. That is just foul from McEnroe Marinas.
It's a good swing off of the off-speed curveball by Sydney Berzon. We talked about her being able to change speeds more, especially at the end of the first inning and into that second inning when she went 3 up, 3 down. But said that Oklahoma wasn't looking for that speed. They were just not swinging at it, hitting not off the end of their bat. But that was a barreled up off-speed pitch off of Nellie's bat.
Into short right. A pop out to Daniel.
Amanda, you were talking about the pressure of playing at Oklahoma, and I was talking to Ella Parker about that, and she said from day one, when you step on campus at Oklahoma, they preach to you that you don't have to do too much. This is Oklahoma. There are stars around you. Now, you have to keep in mind, most of these players come from teams where they were the player. They were the one who needed to produce, but then when you come to Oklahoma, you don't have to try to do too much. So I think that frees hitters up to really not press, to just be confident, stick with their approach because they trust their teammates around them.
Well, and especially with how Patty Gasso has utilized the transfer portal. We saw that Kelly Maxwell was the puzzle piece that completed last season.
Gabby Garcia to the left, and Leno finds us in the sun. Sydney Berzon's really settling in. She's retired 8 in a row in this 1-0 game. Thank Patty Gasso, who is the next coach of the Olympic team in this cycle, and she's got quite the right-hander on her hands here with Sam Landry.
Yeah, really been working the bottom of the zone with her drop ball and her changeup, able to locate it on both sides of the plate. Didn't mean to throw this pitch here, I don't think, but it still worked. 4 strikeouts for the first time through the order for Landry.
Nobody has a hit in the game. That includes Macy Bergeron. Landry's now starting to get some quick outs after, as you heard Patty say, she had to work back from a lot of 2-0 counts. Walks to Edwards and Daniel. Those are the only blemishes for the former Louisiana Ragin' Cajun. who's going to face Tori Edwards again. And start her with a swinging strike off speed for the second straight at bats. Tori Edwards coming off an 0 for 8 week against Arkansas. She did walk 4 times. .34 walks on the year. She's got the second best on base percentage. Learning how to be a little more patient because they feel like every pitcher is bringing their best to Tori Edwards. A soft ground ball. Agbayani flips it just in time.
And Sam Landry is getting a lot of soft contact, a lot of rolled over ground balls. You can tell that LSU has that changeup that she's working on in the back of their mind. They're caught in between speeds, not really able to barrel up anything.
Ball.
Second time through the order, LSU has 4 consecutive groundouts. Haven't barreled up anything against Landry today.
When you watch Sam Landry pitch, you know she always has those glasses on, and there's a story behind it. So she started wearing them her junior year of high school, and she said, I can't remember why I wore them on this day in particular, but it was a playoff game her junior year. She wore the glasses and threw her first ever perfect game. And so she literally can't even remember why she started wearing them that day, but because she threw a perfect game on that day, now she never pitches without them. She has black frames too, but those are for, like, you know, everyday life. The clear frames are for when she's out here on game day.
Yeah, some pitchers like to be intimidating by wearing the mask, wearing some eye black. Sam Landry just rocks the clear glasses. And it's working out brilliantly. As she can see clearly now, another inning is gone. 4 no-hit innings at that for the former Ragin' Cajun, still rocking LSU.
She can see clearly now, the rain's gone, and she's working that drop ball. After 4 free passes in the first inning through the first 5 hitters that she faced against Oklahoma, Sydney Berzon has just settled into this game in large part to her off-speed curveball. Look at the spin on these pitches. It's an off-speed pitch. She's being able to also throw an off-speed drop ball at a different speed. She's being able to throw this pitch up in the zone. She can almost spin and locate and make any pitch an off-speed pitch, in large part to the fact that she grew up in a boarding school and had to practice a lot on her own. She pitched a ton into a catch net and had to almost become essentially her own pitching coach, and because of that she has a really good awareness on spin and body awareness and being able to just change tilt and change speed with just about every pitch she throws.
Ball. That's on.
2-0 for Sydney Sanders here. Berzon has still not allowed a hit in the game, and she's retired 8 in a row.
Ball. Outside.
Beth Torina told us 2 years ago, Sydney Berzon can be whatever she wants to be. Player of the Year, All-American, national champion. She's already been an All-American twice. 3-0 is a strike.
Well, and she can throw 70, but I think that she herself has had to push herself to be a different pitcher in the second half of the year, battling through some injuries. So lucky for her and Beth Torina, her pitching coach, who calls her pitches, she can change speeds like that. So not relying on speed the way that Sam Landry is and some other pitchers that we see in the SEC. She is going to spin the ball like crazy in all different parts of the zone and get hitters to look like that way out in front of it.
Ball.
And her 3-2 is just a little high. The extremely patient Sid Sanders has the 4th Oklahoma walk. First base runner since Sanders was hit by a pitch to bring in a run in the first. And Oklahoma will remove her for pinch runner. It's Cheney Helton, the freshman. BYU transfer Ilana Agbayani is next into the box. Agbayani lays down a bunt foul. 2 weeks ago, the SEC Player of the Week. She had a grand slam and went 6 for 8, drove in 5, and walked 3 times in a sweep of Texas. In the dirt, Sanders, I beg your pardon, that'll be Helton, the pinch runner. She gets to second as Berzon lets go of her 10th wild pitch of the year.
Another one of those off-speed pitches that has a ton of spin. It ends up in the dirt, and Bergeron not able to get down and block it in time, not expecting that pitch to be in the dirt.
The corners remain in on the wild pitch. Agbayani takes a strike 1 and 2. It's a last name that might ring a bell for some baseball fans. Her dad, Benny Agbayani, well-known New York Met, also played for the Rockies and the Red Sox. A ground ball to shortstop. Hodge zips one to first, and the pinch runner Helton pushes ahead to third on the first out. So Berzon has still not allowed a hit, but Oklahoma could easily bring in the second run without needing a hit. This is kind of what LSU usually does offensively. Lots of walks, play small ball, keep the line moving. Sydney Barker getting greeted with the Baja men who let the dogs out.
Do you think that's because she has bark in her name?
100%. Yes, absolutely.
I was looking for the Georgia Bulldogs somewhere around here, but instead it's Sydney Barker, the freshman.
Otherwise, it's a very weird coincidence. Softball dugouts are way too creative to let something like that be just a coincidence. Barker, .435 on the year, runners in scoring position as the pinch runner Helton down at third on 2-0. Swings and grounds the ball through the box. The first base hit for either team in the game comes from the freshman Sydney Barker to make it 2-0.
This is such a good piece of hitting. Sydney Barker, just a freshman, and she has come into a lot of games as a pinch hitter and can hit home runs even in that spot. But 2-0 count, runner at third base, just wants to put the ball on the ground to the right side of the field, even in that hitter's count. Hits it hard right back up the middle.
Sydney Barker out of Rockland, California. Oklahoma's had so much recruiting success from the state of California. She started this year at first base. She started at shortstop. She's in right field today. And she gives Oklahoma a 2-0 lead in their SEC tournament debut. Emmerling just nicks a pitch, stay alive. And the 2 innings with leadoff walks have resulted in runs for Oklahoma. 4 walks, 1 hit batter. Barker the only hit. A pop-up on 0-2, and that's Rudity from right. Emmerling 0 for 2. It's another transfer, Abby Dayton, who was an All-American at Utah a season ago.
And you see Ella Parker, number 5 right there on the bench, putting her cleat back on. When we saw her in the dugout doing the Baja bench here, she had her boot on right at the front of the dugout, and she's coming up to hit, and a couple of hitters, and it's her cue to go ahead and put her cleat back on to get ready to hit. But that's the type of pain that she is in playing this game, is that she keeps that boot on to the very last second possible.
She's been dealing with this lingering lower leg injury, and she still played in every game but 2. Parker, who's now in the hole. Dayton, it's a half swing, slapped the other way for a base hit. Oklahoma's first 2 hits come from its 7 and 9 hitters.
Abby Dayton is a big spark in this Oklahoma lineup with what she can do. This is an 0-2 pitch, and just gets her barrel down to this pitch. It's not pretty, but it works. Able to send it the other way, and an 0-2 pitch. Great barrel control by Abby Dayton, who can also slap, but swings away there.
Patty Gasso took a timeout. So her offense will turn the lineup card over to Cassidy Pickering, who's going to bat for a 3rd time. And this is full-on danger zone now for LSU, because you have Pickering, who really crushes drop balls, has great power, and the 3rd time through the order against Sydney Brazan, who struggled with her command in the 1st and 4th innings. Two on, 2 out. Strike 1 off speed to Pickering.
Well, the last time that Cassidy Pickering was up, she chased an off-speed rise ball well out of the zone, so you know that she's wanting to come up and have a better at bat than what she did in her last EB.
Ball, outside.
Boy, that's a really close pitch. Pickering breathes maybe a deep sigh of relief that she's not down 0-2. Robbie Guest, the plate umpire, has it at 1-1.
Couple of close pitches, just not going the way of Brazan, going the way of Cassidy Pickering to get herself into a hitter's count.
A 2-1. Hit sharply to second, right at Daniel. Oklahoma gets its first 2 hits and its 2nd run. Their first postseason game out of their home state in 8 years. And Athens is feeling like home. A can't beat crazy style from Louisiana. That's great. Here's the thing, they're facing a pitcher from Louisiana, so can't beat crazy has been in the circle right now as Sam Landry, who's held LSU hitless. Sydney Brazan has been good despite some command issues, but Sam Landry has been a couple of runs better. Let's see if LSU finds a little energy here in the 5th. Not wanting to go home at the SEC tournament after 1 win. Can you beat Oklahoma with that RPI, that strength of schedule? LSU might find its way into a top 8 national seed. This would be a major resume boost and also move them to the semifinals of the tournament for the 2nd straight year.
Well, I think right now the difference in the game is that when OU has gotten a couple of leadoff walks, they've been able to score them. When LSU had their leadoff walk to Tori Edwards back in the 2nd, furthest that she got was second base.
2-0 for Leno, number 6 hitter. She takes a strike. Leno, Daniel, and McKee, 3 left-handed batters against Sam Landry, who struggled against LSU at times when she was with Louisiana. Off speed drops in for strike 2. 4 starts against LSU at Louisiana. Landry was 0-3 with a 750. Obviously a much different pitcher in her lone year in Norman.
She's throwing mostly down today. She has the ability to go up with her rise ball, but this approach that Jen Rocha is taking with Sam Landry and pitch calling against LSU is to be more down with her drop ball and her changeup, mixing her screw too. She really hasn't used her rise, which is her best chase pitch that she'll throw. She's just so whippy. She has these long levers so that when she comes through her release, there's a lot of torque and snap that comes through the whip at the end of her pitch. So these long levers, look at this position. A little bit, boom, this crazy elbow bend when she comes through her release to be able to spin through and snap through pitches.
Fouled away by Leno against the 5'10 Landry. Patty Gasso, when we asked her about Sam Landry, she said when we first got her, it was just all gangly long arms. But there's a great competitor there, and she really studies away from the field, does a lot of prep work on her own. This will be her 8th pitch to Leno, who saw 8 the first time, and we'll see 9 at least.
And Sam Landry told me, word for word, I'm a technical pitcher. I want to work on mechanics all the time. And Coach Rocha reminds her, Sam, your body knows what to do. Just throw the ball. So it's really been her mindset this year with working with Coach Rocha that has developed and gotten stronger and more confident.
Leno, foul. Another foul ball, her 5th 2-strike foul ball in the at-bat. Jane Leno is going to see an 18th pitch in 2 plate appearances. It's another 2-2. And it's finally strike 3. A little more elevation there from Landry for her 6th K.
And when you see 72 up and on your hands like this, it feels like 78. That is such a hard pitch to get to. You saw Emerlane take out her leg, get low, expecting a drop ball more down. It kind of cut into Leno, and it just worked. Look at that snap when she comes through. The ability and mobility of her elbow when she comes through her snap. She is just so whippy.
It's a couple of drop balls that have escaped her up in the zone for strikeouts.
Both to lefties.
Daniel a bunt foul, and it's 0-2.
Okay, and the funny thing about that drop ball is that she never believed in that drop ball. Jerry Glasgow at Louisiana would tell her all the time, hey, your drop ball is really good, but she just did not believe in it. And so it was a pitch that Coach Rocha really wanted her to focus on and told her, look, just don't get frustrated with it. Just throw it. You have your rise ball. Let's focus on your drop ball. And it's been the pitch that she's thrown the most this year.
Balls outside.
Had Jerry Glasgow not left Louisiana for Texas Tech, we might not be seeing Sam Landry. Said she wasn't planning to transfer until that. Oklahoma had a roster spot open for a veteran pitcher. Sam Landry filled it.
Well, and it made me laugh because she told me it feels good to trust a pitch that I've hated my entire life. And when she got to Oklahoma, especially at the beginning of the year, nobody was prepared for that drop ball. So it gave them a completely different look to go at opposing hitters that thought that they, knew her really well, knew what they were going to get against her. And then in comes this drop ball, and it's like, hello, 72 down in the zone, tunneled with the change. There's a rise ball or a little bit more up spin. She just hasn't had to do that a lot today. She's been more down.
Another 1-2 for Daniel.
Ball.
That's low.
I love the pop of the glove, too. It's one thing about this field in Georgia, the sound really carries, and the backstop is so close to home plate. It feels very intimate. So as a more power pitcher with that closer backstop, it makes you feel like you're throwing even harder. think that we've seen even Jaden Heavner look really confident, more of a harder thrower. I think that you're seeing the pitchers that throw with a little bit more velocity really like how close that backstop is that surrounds them, because when you're pitching and you sense that backstop behind your catcher, it just makes you feel like you're throwing harder to your catcher. And as a power pitcher, you love to hear the glove pop.
Not much of a glove pop there, but a roar nonetheless as Landry goes off speed for her 7th strikeout.
She's really starting to get into a groove the second time through the order against LSU. That is that changeup. It falls off the table. She can locate that pitch wherever, whenever. Has great spin, tons of confidence in that change.
4 2/3 no hit. Yesterday, LSU saw their pitcher throw 4 2/3 no-hit innings, Jaden Heavner, before Ella Wesolowski broke it up with a single for Mississippi State. And Maddox McKee is trying to be today's version of Ella Wesolowski. Jaden Heavner finished with a 1-hitter, 2nd SEC pitcher to do that at the SEC tournament. By the way, we met Jaden's mom before the game, who was so lovely today. A couple of Heavner T-shirts out in the crowd. Great support for the freshman, who's going to be a big part of LSU's NCAA tournament run. McKee out of play, and it's 2-2 again.
Yeah, all these teams are just going to be so excited not to face an SEC team, at least for a weekend. Not going to face each other in regionals, because that's how the rules work, is that you're not going to face anybody in your conference regional weekend, but you may have a weekend off, and I bet we have some SEC matchups and supers.
2-2 pitch, up in the air to right.
I've got the ball.
Sam Landry, SEC tournament debut with 5 no-hit innings.
Sam Landry, the ace, the All-American, the draftee to the pros, playing her first SEC tournament game and spinning it like crazy.
Who faces Texas tonight. Ole Miss beat Florida in extras last night, and then Texas A&M South Carolina. So the 2 SEC newbies, Oklahoma and Texas, their debuts in the SEC tournament today. Wall-to-wall action, amazing quadruple header of softball for you. And Oklahoma with a 2-0 lead in our first of 4. I think on paper, we'll see how these games go. On paper, Tennessee, Arkansas.
Ball.
That's the matchup that a lot of us are looking forward to the most. See if we get Carlin Pickens for Tennessee, who's going to be the SEC Pitcher of the Year, against Bree Ellis for Arkansas, who will be the SEC Player of the Year. And those two are certainly in the mix for the best player and the best pitcher in the country, period. So I cannot wait if we get that. And Courtney Deifel and Karen Weekly exchanging pleasantries. Courtney saying, what's your strategy going to be to Bree? You going to pitch to her? Oh, to be a fly on the wall there.
Yeah, I was trying to be a little quiet so maybe we could,
Right.
could hear what Karen was saying.
Pick up that camera, Mike.
I think Courtney was definitely asking her if Carlin Pickens is going to pitch so they could do some BP.
That ball's blasted. Ella Parker, one hop to the wall in right center. And the Oklahoma slugger has her first hit, her second time on base, and a leadoff double off Berzon.
Remember, in between at bats, she goes to the dugout and she puts a boot on and then puts her cleat on to get ready to hit. Look at her get her barrel down to that pitch and underneath this drop ball. When you're facing a drop ball pitcher, that's what you're thinking. It's going to be a little bit lower than what I see coming out of the hand. I'm going to get my barrel down to that spot. She barrels it up for extra bases.
Double number 16, the most on the OU roster. McEnroe Marinas gets under this one to left, and Leno gets to it. Another big hit for Ella Parker, the first extra base hit of the game. Came into this game with 5 straight multi-hit games, and today she's got a double and a walk. So another game where she's reached base twice.
Guys, I have a question.
We have an answer.
The hand sign that you saw Ella Parker do, did it remind you of anything?
Vulture?
No. How about some gymnasts? This is an ode to the OU women's gymnastics team, national champions. So I love the camaraderie between sports. We celebrate them on second base.
That's very good. That does look like a gymnastics pose.
You got to stick it. You know, arms out, stick it.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I have a really good one-handed cartwheel.
You do? I've never seen that.
I'll show you later. Maybe in between games.
You really do?
Yeah, I'll show you.
This is not a bit right now. Strike 3 to Garcia. 2 away. Wow, I'm learning new and exciting things every day about you. You love foul balls in the booth, and you do a one-handed cartwheel. Under hit on that bit. Second strikeout for Berzon, trying to work around the leadoff double. Boy, if she could do that, if you can work around a leadoff double against the heart of the Oklahoma order, could give LSU a real boost with their 9-1 and 2 hitters coming up in the 6th. Sanders has been hit by a pitch to force in a run, walked and scored a run, and takes ball 1 here. It's only the 3rd time in the last 15 games Sid Sanders has driven in a run. It's had a tough stretch, but she still gets on base a lot.
Well, she's just been so patient. She takes a lot of pitches, low swing percentage, takes a lot of close pitches too. Already hit by pitch and a walk today, a couple of free passes to find her way on.
She has 32 hits, and she's reached base via a walk or a hit by pitch 44 times. Dangerous hitter here. Dangerous count. A strike from Sydney with an S to Sydney with a C.
I just think it's so hard to have patience at the plate because you get up there, 3 or 4 times a game, and you just want to hit. You feel anxious, you step into the box, and you want to have the big swing. And it's so much more difficult. You see so many fewer hitters have patience, like Sydney Sanders, like Reagan Kramer from Arkansas, like Lindy Ray Davis from Georgia. A lot of patient hitters because you just get up there and you want to swing.
7th pitch coming. Parker, the runner at second after a double. A 2-0 Oklahoma lead in the 5th. Lifted to left. Leno chases it out toward the wall, and it's gone. Sid Sanders with a 2-run home run, a 5th inning dagger through the heart of LSU.
It really is a dagger, especially that it comes off of Sydney Berzon's changeup. So we've seen the off-speed curve. This is a changeup right over the heart of the plate. And Sydney Sanders is just a little out front of that pitch, but she's just not fooled enough. That ball just kept carrying.
Sydney Sanders with her 11th home run out of 33 hits. The batting average, not close to the highest on the team, but she gets on base and she hits home runs. It's like a dream Moneyball player, and she has driven in 3 of the 4 and scored the other, or at least her pinch runner Holton scored the other for Oklahoma today. And that #1 SEC fan has the home run ball.
It's just hard to believe that in this Oklahoma offense, there are 3 players returning from the starting lineup last year in Cassidy Pickering, Ella Parker, and Sydney Sanders. Everybody else a new face with being a freshman or a transfer.
Ball.
A 96th Oklahoma home run. That's the most in the SEC. They've turned Athens into OKC Southeast for the morning. 3-1 to Agbayani. Back-to-back games with a home run for Sid Sanders, who had 21 of them as a freshman at Arizona State, broke the single-season record, and has had a terrific career at OU.
Hard.
To third, that's fair. Off the glove of Coffey. And Agbayani thought about second base, but retreats after a turn with a sharp single.
Probably feels good to her to finally barrel one up. She's just been fighting with Sydney Berzon's off-speed pitch, gets something harder, lets it travel, hits it to the left side. So prepared in my mind. Look how deep she lets that get into her window. I mean, that was deep into the almost the point of the plate, and able to get that bat lag going, just drive it right at Danica Coffey.
That's off the end of the bat of Sydney Barker.
A great approach by Agbayani, who would hit a couple off the end of her bat in her first 2 at bats. So makes the adjustment in that one to even let something more firm get deep, to not guess and be out on her front foot. Think about driving it the opposite way.
The 3rd time through the order Oklahoma has really solved. Berzon really goes back to Sydney Barker the 2nd time through in the 7th spot. Oklahoma did have 4 walks and a hit batter, but no hits through the first 15 batters of the game. Last 9 batters, they're 5 for 9.
Ball.
Barker takes ball 1.
Just 100 pitches thrown by Sydney Berzon. Just to the bottom of the 5th inning. Oklahoma taking a ton, a lot of free passes, a lot of hitters getting extra ABs because of those free passes.
Number 100's coming here to Barker, who already has an RBI single, and pulls it foul. And Patty Gasso told us before the game she felt like Oklahoma was wasting innings at Florida, not scoring in the first 3. They got off to a good start with the first inning run. Were slowed the next 2, but a run in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, and a commanding lead into the 6th.
I mean, it really is a dagger. 2 out, full count, 2-run home run. What it looked like LSU was going to get out of the inning. The senior Sydney Sanders hits a 2-run bomb to extend their lead.
You know, hits another home run. I'm going to practice my best Amanda impression under the desk.
Oh, man. It's a good place to be. You know, in Texas,
Duck and cover Scarborough
we
over
practiced tornado warnings, and that's what you did. You got underneath the desk. We practiced that in Texas growing up. So I guess I was just reliving memories, dodging foul balls.
Happy childhood memories on the foul ball yesterday. Well, the home run from Sid Sanders in the last inning doubled the lead. And now Sam Landry, who's not allowed to hit, has a lead of 4 runs. Avery Hodge, the Oklahoma transfer. Then Coffey and Lassiter as LSU will flip the lineup card over. Tori Edwards and Sierra Daniel walked in the 2nd inning. Those are the only 2 base runners for LSU. As Sam Landry has retired 10 in a row as she falls behind Hodge 3-0.
Yeah, a couple of walks in that second inning, and then she was just able to settle into this game. She was falling behind hitters in the first and in the second. And 3 up, 3 down in the third. I think when you talk to a lot of coaches, one thing that you hear in facing Sam Landry is just, I think her speed takes them by surprise. Throwing 70, 72 miles an hour, these pitches just get on you in a hurry. And then you have that changeup that you have to deal with. So when you drop in a changeup at 54 and she's throwing 72, 72 starts to feel 75, 76.
It's her 5th full count. She's got to strike out 3 of the first 4. Another 3-2. Avery Hodge, a 2-time World Series winner at Oklahoma, started 25 games for the champs a year ago, had 4 hits, couple of doubles, some big moments at the World Series last year. Has been the everyday shortstop at LSU. 3-2 for her. Hodge takes ball 4. It's the 3rd walk for LSU.
First since that second inning that I just mentioned, but she's just really been filling up the bottom of the zone with her changeup and her drop ball. There was one that got up and in, this one to Avery Hodge, not meant to be there, but this bottom half of the zone with her change and her drop, she's just been rolling. Both sides of the plate kind of leaning more on that glove side with all the left-handed hitters that LSU has in their lineup. She is not scared to go inside.
Ball.
Are you seeing LSU try to adjust?
I don't really think so.
What should they do?
I just think it's been hard for them to pick up her changeup and her speed. I think that's why she's so good. The first time that you face her, remember, these two teams didn't face each other in the regular season, so it's the first time. Well, they did face her when she was at Louisiana, but she's just such a different looking pitcher than what they saw before. So I think when her changeup is on and she's throwing with this good velocity like she is, she's just hard to pick up out of the hand.
.93 pitches for Landry. She's walked 3, struck out 7. Coffey has grounded out to 3rd and to 1st.
You know, Sam Landry talked to me about getting into the portal and the timing of it, and with Jerry Glasgow taking the job to Louisiana, she said it just was not an easy decision for me. My parents are my biggest supporter, and Louisiana was just an hour and a half away from her hometown. And she said one of the hardest things to do when she got into the portal was just stay off of social media, because she said the things that you see on there when she got in the portal, she remembered seeing so much about how she wouldn't play anywhere else other than Louisiana. Nobody believed in her. She saw that on social media, and it became a push for her, a motivation for her to even give more than what she thought she already had. But seeing that kind of external motivation that she would never make it here was something that moved her.
Well, she's in some trouble here in the 6th. Jen Rocha is out to talk with her pitcher, and Patty Gasso brings the rest of the infield together. Beth Torina told Taylor, she told her team to be a little more like that crazy Louisiana team, bring some energy. They had long at-bats in the 5th inning. They saw 23 pitches, but went down in order. Two-one for Coffey. That's low. Emmerling's snap throw is well late at first. Danica Coffey 0 for 6 at the SEC tournament. The future pro in the AUSL. Slaps one just foul. These two are actually going to be teammates in the AUSL, both for the Volts. Landry was the first overall pick. Coffey went 11th. Just in case there's some trouble. A couple of Oklahoma relievers are up. Coffee toward the middle, grabbed it short, beautiful glove flip by Garcia to get the first out.
These middle infielders are so quick. Garcia and Agbayani, they get such good reads off the bat, take such good angles, and Gabby Garcia able to move up the middle of the field, little toss right out of the glove.
Boy, what a smooth operator she is at short.
In order to play softball at Oklahoma, Gabby Garcia told me that you have to be able to be good at defense. That's what Patty Gasso preaches. And so to be good, she watches film, guys. She watches Grace Lyons, Sis Bates on repeat. It's part of her routine to pick up little things from them and continue to push herself to be better defensively every single game.
Well, those are two incredible role models to have. Sis Bates, who did everything in OKC, was a 3-time Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. And then Grace Lyons, 3-time Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, who was just an all-world shortstop at Oklahoma. That's the company Gabby Garcia could be in. She and Agbayani, that middle infield, they made one error in 169 chances in conference play this year. And Gabby's made 3 the whole season. That's amazing for a shortstop.
Oh my gosh, it is. They're so fast too. When you just watch them live, looking down at them, their reads, the amount of ground that they cover, they're so quick to get to balls, and then not to mention what Nellie Mack and Romarinas can do at third. We talked about a completely different offensive lineup for Oklahoma and a lot of different bats, but their infield is completely different with the exception of Sydney Sanders. Everybody else is a new face. Patty Gasso was a shortstop. She loves defense.
0-2 for Lassiter. It's the hidden ingredient to Oklahoma's success over the years. Yes, they hit a lot of home runs. Yes, their pitching staff's dynamic. They're always among the best defensive teams in the nation. This year, no exception.
Well, as good as the infield is, I feel like Oklahoma's outfield has always stuck out to me. The way that they play balls off the wall, their throws, communication, knowing exactly where to do when somebody is trying to take an extra base on an extra base hit. They work on defense tirelessly with Coach Gasso.
By the way, they've got a new outfield configuration here in the 6th. Hannah Core has come in to replace Barker. She's in center. Dayton moved over to left, Pickering to right. #106 pitch of the game for Landry. Still has not allowed a hit.
Ball.
Lassiter with a tight take to run it full. Another marathon at bat. Landry's won nearly all of these. Her 3-2 for Jayla Lassiter is grounded to third. McEnroe Marinas, that was a low hop, and her throw pulls Sanders off the base. May not have been in time anyway, and the Tigers have 2 on. That could well break up the no-hitter because of the unusual second bounce.
Right, bounce 1 and then bounce 2 that just took a bit of a right turn. She was expecting that second hop to go as high or maybe even half as high as the first one, and it just stayed low and then took a right turn. Had crazy spin off of the bat of Lassiter because of the spin of Landry that she pitches with.
So Jayla Lassiter, that's going to break up the no-hitter. We're waiting for an official ruling, and there it is. So 5 1/3 for Sam Landry.
First base left on time on the pitch. Oklahoma is challenging that ruling. The play is under review.
Well, let's see if this indeed is going to be a 2-on-1-out situation. Oklahoma challenging if Danica Coffey left early from first.
After review, the call is upheld. The runner left on time. That is Oklahoma's first challenge.
I love Birmingham. I love it. Why waste time if the call is easy? That's all.
Can't leave until the ball leaves the pitcher's hand, and you can tell the ball is well out of her hand, and her toe is still on the base. That's a quick turnaround of a call.
So we still have never had a solo no-hitter at the SEC tournament. Jaden Hebner 7 outs away yesterday. Sam Landry 5 outs away today. And now, if Macy Bergeron reaches, Tori Edwards, lingering on the left of your screen, will be the tying run. The best home run hitter in a single season in LSU history, tied with Bianca Bell at the moment. And it's 2-0 for Bergeron. Macy is 0 for 6 here at the SEC tournament. And she is in a 3-0 count. One of the great on-base seasons in LSU history, and even 500 coming into the game today. Bergeron walks on 4. My, oh my. Here comes Tori Edwards, who's hit 4 grand slams this year. Nobody in the country has more, and she is one mighty swing away from tying this game. Bryce Neal and LSU want to take time here to get a pinch runner in for Bergeron at first. It's going to be Samaya Jones. Just a little more time for Landry to linger over this 6th inning, which is threatening to unravel.
Seen Tori Edwards chase quite a bit in her last few ABs. It's going to be up to her to have some patience here, especially with the lack of command that Landry is showing the last few batters. And a smaller strike zone at times, not getting the call like that. That looked like it should be a strike, a drop on the outside corner, and she just doesn't get the call.
Tori Edwards has 4 plate appearances with the bases loaded this year. All 4 grand slams. Big swing and a miss. She nods her head after, as if to say, okay, you got me there.
It's that changeup that is just so hard to pick up. It's so deceptive. You're worried about 72 right at the bottom of the zone, and you try to get your barrel there early.
Edwards blasts off the other way to right. This one is caught. Pickering at the warning track. And for the first time this season, Tori Edwards does not hit a grand slam, batting with the bases loaded. She brings in 1 to break the shutout, but that's a trade Oklahoma will willingly make.
It was a great approach. Back-to-back changeups delivered by Landry, swung and missed through the first one, let the second one travel more, and it just ended up dying a bit on the warning track.
Now Rudity. Rudity to the right side. Agbayani cleans it up. Oklahoma gets out of it. The no-hitter and the shutout are over, but the lead remains. Expect it's going to be Brielis against Carlin Pickens. Every now and then, Karen Weekly throws a little wrench in the plans, but we should get the best pitcher and hitter in the SEC, who've already faced off in 2 games this year. As this inning begins with a bouncing ground out from Isabella Emmerling.
And Georgia, by the way, has just done such a good job hosting this tournament. I mean, I just think it looks great. Just different things all around the field. The field itself looks awesome. The facilities, tons of fans here. I'm really loving this SEC tournament in Athens.
It's been a perfect spot for this tournament, which rotates among the league members. This is Not to sound like I'm on the Athens Port of Tourism, this is just an awesome city. It's just an awesome city. The weather's been great. There's so much green space. There are parks, there are trails. There's an incredible music scene here if you're into that sort of thing. All kinds of REM landmarks. B-52s came out of here. Widespread panic. Drive-by truckers. A great music scene. University of Georgia, beautiful campus. And the folks here at Georgia have done a wonderful job putting this event on with 2 more days to go, plus the 3 games today. Great time to showcase this field and this stadium to Jack Turner Stadium, which has undergone quite a few facelifts since it was last here about 20 years ago. That new softball training facility in left field. It's a $38.5 million facility. There it is in left. Courtney Day hit it on the fly with a home run for Arkansas yesterday.
Yeah, they great batting cages, an unbelievable weight room, great team room.
And I got to give a shout out to the grounds crew that's done such a good job with the upkeep of this field, the amount of games that we've seen played here. They're led by the head of grounds crew, which is Matt Holland. He spent 8 years at the LA Coliseum working on Bermuda grass, and so came here, and this is Bermuda grass, does really well in the warm temperatures, and they've just done such a good job upkeeping this field. Yesterday with the rain, had to double the amount of conditioner they used on the infield. And they are hard at work to keep this place pristine.
Yes, well said, Taylor. Shout out to the grounds crew. They are always the unsung heroes, especially at the SEC tournament where it rains every year. So far, we've had great weather. We'll hope that continues. We'll cross all appendages. We'll knock on every wooden item we can find. It's been wonderful weather, but a little bit of rain yesterday, and the field no worse for the wear. Shout out to our guy Zach on the grounds crew we met earlier today as well. Big Orioles fan, Zach. Hang in there. Tide's going to turn.
You know a lot of Orioles fans around here. I didn't even really know that there were as many Orioles fans as there are.
America's team. I'm telling you, America's team, man.
I think they just hopped on the bandwagon in recent years, to be honest.
No.
No?
I don't need to get into it more. Nobody else cares, but no. 3-1 to Cassidy Pickering. The Jim Palmer days. Who doesn't love Jim Palmer? Pickering has walked, struck out, grounded out. It's the 4th time through for Oklahoma against Sidney Brazan. He's thrown 112 pitches. 5 hits, 5 walks in the game, and a couple of strikeouts against this terrific Oklahoma offense. Pickering on that well-conditioned infield for her former teammate Hodge. Well, how about the day for Ella Parker, who again is playing through some real lower leg pain, has been for a while. A walk, a foul out, then a hard double. On-base percentage up to .534 for this sophomore star.
Ball.
So 3rd-team All-American as a freshman. Was the most outstanding player of the Big 12 tournament. Was on the all-tourney team in the World Series. So she already is known to the softball universe.
She might have something to say about the Orioles being America's team, because her uncle is Dave Roberts, the manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, the reigning World Series champions, mind you. Also, Ella, when she's not at OU, works at a facility in Los Angeles with a lot of big leaguers. One of those, Pete Armstrong, who's having an all-star caliber season with the Cubs. And I was asking Pete about Ella, and he said, I think I need hitting lessons from her. She's such a stud. So a lot of Major League Baseball players have a ton of respect for Ella Parker.
Well, and she's fun to watch. She can hit for average. She can hit for power. She takes her walks and has a little bit of speed, especially when her legs are feeling good. And love to see that smile too when she steps into the box. I mean, it's just so hard to believe that she's just a sophomore. It feels like she's been around for forever.
.415 a year ago. OPS over 1,200 as a freshman. Lobs this one to the screen. Every swing, a chance for something explosive. Another 2-2. Foul tip into the mitt of Bergeron. Shut down 6 for Berzon. LSU needs 3 to tie.
The 2025
quarterfinal Thursday here in Athens today. We've had some great games. 5 of 7 games have been within 1 run in the closing innings. A walk-off yesterday. Bree Ellis with a grand slam to beat Georgia. The 1 extra inning game. Ole Miss defeated Florida. Kind of surprising, LSU hasn't been in an extra inning game. They were in a 14-inning game last year, beat Alabama. A 13-inning game against, actually that was Tennessee Mississippi State a couple of years ago. But LSU has been knocked out in extra innings in the last 3 SEC tournaments, and 4 of their last 6 SEC tournament games have gone into extras. To do that, they're going to need at least 3. They only have 1 hit against Sam Landry so far.
That last inning was a huge opportunity for them. Torrey Edwards up, bases loaded, and Landry was just able to turn that into a sac fly RBI versus a grand slam. That was big.
Feels like it might have been the inning, but we'll see. 6, 7, and 8. Leno, who's seen now 21 pitches today. An 8-pitch strikeout, a 10-pitch strikeout. So Landry has ultimately vexed LSU's left fielder. 3-1 here. 4 walks in the game for Sam Landry, only 1 hit allowed. Through 30 pitches in that 6th inning. And that would have been ball 4, but Leno chased it to run the count full.
Has not thrown very many rise balls, but got the chase on that rise ball. Remember, her drop ball, she throws the most. Her rise ball, she'll throw the 4th highest amount, but it is her best chase pitch. She's really lived down in the zone against LSU today.
Goes down again, and Leno sprays it out of play. .121 pitches for Sam Landry. And this has been a really nice bounce back for after a tough weekend in Gainesville. 11 runs, 7 earned, 11 walks in 14 innings. Leno, line drive right to center, right at Hannacore. Another good at-bat, ends with nothing for Leno.
Something to me, to your point about Sam Landry having a tough weekend. She's had, you know, a few of those moments this year, but when we think about her next game with the potential of Carlin Pickens pitching, who's last year's SEC Pitcher of the Year, likely this year's SEC Pitcher of the Year as well. It's just her consistency with every game that stands out to me with Carlin Pickens.
Little blooper to left and a lunging catch. Abby Dayton takes one away from Sierra Daniel.
There's so many fans behind that left field fence that had a front row view right here of Abby Dayton covering a lot of ground. Hannacore taking the long route behind her to have her back so that she could go harder, took a good angle, and make that play for her pitcher for the 2nd out.
Here's Maddox McKee, the last chance for LSU. LSU threw a 1-hitter yesterday with Jaden Heavner. And they are 1 hit today by Sam Landry, who steals the spotlight in Oklahoma's SEC tournament debut.
Really battled at times through a lack of command with some free passes and falling behind, but she just has stuff that's good enough to find herself in a hitter's count and still make the ball move and change speeds with her changeup.